Welcome back. All eyes are on Indiana, and not just for the religious freedom bill that has sparked so much controversy. College basketball fans have converged on Indianapolis for tonight's much-anticipated Final Four. But despite the excitement in the arena, a dark cloud is hanging over the NCAA. In response to a lawsuit filed by former University of North Carolina athletes, the NCAA has said it's not their job to ensure educational quality. Well, my next guest knows all too well about balancing academics and the pressures of playing sports at a high level. Myron Rolle played football at Florida State University, is a Rhodes Scholar, played in the NFL, and is now a medical student. Myron, thanks for being here. Is there more that the NCAA can do? They say we don't have day-to-day responsibility for what actually happens in the classroom.
Well, thank you for having me. I do believe there's more that the NCAA can do, as well as individual institutions. I think that once the NCAA and institutions realize that this once amateur model of college sports no longer exists, I think that's when we can start making real progress. As you said, I'm a second-year medical student to be a pediatric neurosurgeon, and if I go see a patient and this patient has donor percussion, dyspnea, all the clinical signs and manifestations of some kind of lobar pneumonia, I go tell my attending physician, look, this is lobar pneumonia. My attending physician tells me, no, this is actually a broken foot. The attending physician is denying what's actually really happening, and I believe that's the same thing as analogous to what's happened to the NCAA. They're denying that there's so much money and pressure and highlights and exposure for these young athletes that is bordering on professionalism.
The Rhodes Scholarship application process is legendary for its rigorous nature. What was the reaction of your football coaches in college when they became aware of the fact that you were making that application?
Well, I've wanted to do the Rhodes Scholarship since I heard about the story of Bill Bradley. I went to high school at the Hunt School at Princeton, and I had a chance to just hear about Bill Bradley's awesomeness, basically, in college and being a rock star in that respect. So when I got to Florida State, I went to the Office of National Fellowships and said, look, I want to be a Rhodes Scholar like my hero, Bill Bradley. And when I applied for the scholarship, as you said, it's very intense. You have to write a CV, go through many interviews, write a personal statement that basically tells the Rhodes Trust why you want to be a Rhodes Scholar and how this education at Oxford could help behoove your interests moving forward. There was a little bit of resistance from a few coaches, but for the most part, I got a lot of support from Florida State, from administration, teammates, faculty, because they felt that if I did well and I showed that you can actually balance academics and athletics at a major Division I college institution like Florida State, then that would be good for the program, that could be good for student athletes, and it could be good all the way around. So they told me I can go interview for the scholarship. I just had to win it. I did, and it's been a remarkable thing for me.
When you delayed your entry to the NFL, was the NFL as understanding as the coaches that you've just described?
Not at first. I believe some people in the NFL are used to a certain athlete, they're used to a certain player, and when there's a player that comes from a different sort of frame of mind, has a bit of a different ideology, and doesn't have, I would say, 100%, outlook or perspective on just football. I was somebody, my parents wanted me to have a breadth of knowledge at an early age. They came from the Bahamas, and they made sure that I focused on many different aspects, being a great leader, being a great citizen, a great Christian, a great brother, a great thinker. And football was a part of my person, but it didn't describe all of me. So I received a little bit of resistance, more resistance from the NFL. However, it was a great opportunity to play at that highest level. And I got out the game healthy, safe, no concussions, hands good, so I can operate in the future. And, excited about the choices that I've been able to make in my life.
There's so much money wrapped up in the Final Four, which, as you know, tips off this evening. And some say, well, that money ought to be shared with the athletes. The response is, well, the athletes do get paid. They get paid in terms of scholarships for education. What's your take on that issue?
You see, I got to Florida State with a framework and a structure and support from family that could help buttress my journey. I came in there with a good vision to understanding that I not only come into this school to play football and to do well, but also to gain and accrue some intellectual capital, to develop some relationships and networks, to do multiple things, to enrich my college experience so that when I left, whether I played football or I went on to be a doctor or I did something else, I was going to be ready to take on the world. A lot of my teammates and classmates didn't have that same kind of support. So I believe that NCAA and some institutions should fill that void that some of these athletes are missing in their life. And whether it's paying players directly, making them millionaires, I'm not sold on that idea. But perhaps putting a fund together to help these athletes reach their goals, I think that's a good idea for them.
Final question, yes or no? Jameis Winston, round 1?
Round 1 and first overall pick, no question.
Whoa, okay. Dr. Rolle, wanted in surgery. Thank you, Myron.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Coming up, it's one thing to refuse